Cinemajaw is brought to you by Cards Against Humanity. Guess what?
What, Matt?
They asked us not to read an ad.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious.
That is so cool.
Dead serious.
Wow.
Enjoy the show. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location at Cat and Mouse Games in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is
Rye, the movie guy, and sitting alongside us, as always, is our engineer and local filmmaker, Elias Rodriguez.
How's it going, Jawheads?
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we try something a little bit different.
We Game the System.
We game the system. I like how you're tying gaming in right away. We normally do top fives each week on a very broad subject. This week, because of Cars 3, we are going to tackle our top 10 in order. Top 10 Pixar films.
We're going to rank Pixar.
Yes, and we each have a different ranking, and that's where we hope the argument will begin.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
This is new.
Now, neither of us, on the drive over, we're discussing, neither of us are what you would call completists when it comes to Pixar. I'm missing 3 films.
Which, well, should we mention?
I'm missing The Good Dinosaur, Monsters University, and Cars 2.
I wouldn't. First of all, I wouldn't say missing any of those. I'm also missing The Good Dinosaur, have not seen, and Ratatouille. And that's it.
All right. That may be high on my list. Who knows?
Yeah, it should be.
We want the Jawheads to start thinking about their favorite Pixar films and see if we agree, disagree, all that good stuff. That's where the fun comes in, Matt.
Agreed.
Yes. We also have a great guest who's going to be joining us very shortly, too.
Yes. Jessica Tylkowski, who is the manager over Cat and Mouse Games, where we are this week.
Convenient.
Convenient. See how that worked out? We're going to be talking to her about games and the game store here and all that good stuff.
For sure. Besides that, we have a whole lot more going on, don't we, Elias?
Oh, yes. We are going eye for an eye on The Beguiled.
And we have a review of Cars 3.
Nice. And as Elias mentioned, we're going eye for an eye on Beguiled. I thought it would be a good time for Matt, you to take Jess on in Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst movie trivia.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds okay, I guess.
Yeah. And you know what else is interesting, too? I obviously pick a lot of these movies to go eye for an eye and review and such.
Sure.
You'll notice there's a big movie coming out, Transformers.
Yeah.
That I'm just skipping here because, it's a waste of a franchise at this point. And I hate that Michael Bay.
Michael Bay's good at what he does.
Which is what exactly?
He's a big-time action director.
What?
Yeah.
Doesn't even do action well.
No, of course he does. He's probably the best in the biz when it comes to action.
I doubt that.
Yes?
CinemaWAR. Ooh, Jess is going to have her hands full there. That is going to be a fun one.
Agreed.
Yeah. Before we bring in our guest, a couple of Cinemajaw happenings, Matt. You had a rather unique weekend.
Yeah, it ties in. So this weekend, I played my first escape room. And
what?
Yeah, I did. I went into a room, locked in, and I had to solve all these riddles and puzzles and things like that to get out. Sweep the room, find clues, unlock boxes and doors, and it was fun.
Wow, that does sound pretty interesting.
It was really cool.
I know when we had on Sandy
Weiss.
Yeah, Sandy Weiss, we had on talking about puzzles and games. He had mentioned a little bit about these escape rooms, but I've never done it.
I'd be interested if you and Matt and Rye could actually work together as a team and wouldn't argue the entire 45 minutes or whatever it is.
That would be rough.
We should really do all three of us.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That would be pretty cool.
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay. Escape room, that's pretty interesting. The big happening here is happening right now. We are, as you mentioned, recording at Cat and Mouse Games, which is located at 1112 West Madison Street, West Loop neighborhood of Chicago. And this is an awesome store, is it not?
It really, really is, yes.
It's one of those stores, to describe it to the listeners, where you want to come in and basically touch and play everything. There's a lot of games on displays. There's a huge thing of dice over here. There's any type of game, board game, puzzle. It's here in this store.
Yep. Yeah, we'll talk to Jessica and get all the details on the store.
Yeah, very excited. So without further ado, Matt, let's bring in our guest. As you mentioned, her name is Jessica Tylkowski. She is the manager here at Cat and Mouse Games. Jess, welcome to Cinemajaw.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Like I had just mentioned, what a wonderful store, and it's a large space.
It's a big shop.
For people outside of Chicago that don't know, the West Loop is a rather expensive neighborhood, and this is a big store right in the middle of the West Loop.
Oh, it's twice the size of our original location, which was in Bucktown. But the neighborhood here, there are a lot of young families. There are a lot of young people looking to play party games. There's a lot of nerds working in the tech sector here. We've got Google just a couple of blocks away. So if it's not electronic and it's fun, like, we have it, and there's a neighborhood demand for it. So it's really working out for us, the large space here. And it's so nice to have room for activities, so much space for activities.
Like podcasting.
Yeah, like podcasting. Or we have a Tuesday night game night that's really, like, there's 25 people in here playing board games every Tuesday. There's a kids Pokemon League. There's all sorts of fun stuff.
Which my son actually plays in, Parker, Pitchman.
He's in the Pokemon League?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah, we come almost every week.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, hence the relation. Actually, it goes back even further than that to Elvis Fest and Randolph Street Market and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, don't call me out on the Elvis Fest thing, please.
I wasn't going to mention it.
I'm
Leave it there. You did mention it,
I
Matt.
just said, we knew each other from Elvis Fest. I didn't say how or that you won the costume contest. I didn't mention any of that.
It was maybe the most glorious moment of my life, so I'm just happy to relive it.
It was very glorious. But getting back to cat and mouse games, I wanted to ask if somebody wasn't in the gaming community or didn't know much about games, just wandered in, like, give us the elevator pitch for the store.
Sure. So we have games at all skill levels. We have single player games. We've got Chicago's biggest selection of jigsaw puzzles, easily. And then about half the store is devoted to kids' toys, whether that's more explicitly educational stuff, science kits, learning games, but really everything that you do as a child play-wise is educational, so I'm loath to make that distinction. But it's everything you could be interested in playing, as long as the thing you are interested in playing is not a video game.
I like it.
Yeah, well said.
Now, you mentioned Pokemon, and I've heard Pokemon. Most everyone's heard of Pokemon. Is there another sort of in-game for an outsider like myself, who's not the biggest into the most trending game right now?
Oh, sure.
Is there a hint that you could say, boy, this is really catching on?
Are you talking like what games are sizzling hot
Yes.
right now? I think overall strategy board gaming is exploding over maybe the last 10 years, but really even in the last 5. People who would not consider themselves to be gamer people are interested in playing party games with each other. They're interested in sitting down and playing something, and part of that is I know you guys are familiar with Cards Against Humanity. That was such a huge runaway success, as stupid and obscene as that game is. But it kind of opened the door for people to feel less dorky about playing games. So we cruise through a ton of party games here, and games like Settlers of Catan, of course, are very popular. But there's a wider range than ever of difficulties available. So we've got stuff that I can teach you in 30 seconds that a game takes 15 minutes. And we have Twilight Imperium, which is a game that runs like 12 to 16 hours. It's a giant war game. And we have everything in between, like depending on what you want to do, I can find something to put you in.
That's one of the cool things is they'll match a game to the customer, to the person who walks in.
And speaking of that, after the break on the second end part of the show, we usually do an interview. I thought it would be interesting if maybe we played a game really quick, like a round on Cinemajaw. Is there a game that you had in mind for us, Jess?
Yeah, there's it's an indie game. The publisher is Skybound Games. It's called Super Fight. They have a couple of really excellent, goofy party games for adults. And in Super Fight, it's the game of absurd arguments. It's a glorified who would win game, but it's very, very silly. And a lot of the attributes of your fighter are randomly assigned to you. So you've got to make an argument, usually from not a position of strength, as to why your guy would whoop the other guy.
We'll try a round of that.
Heck yeah.
That sound like fun?
I'm going to kick your ass.
Now, one of the other interesting things is that Cat and Mouse Games actually goes to a lot of these street festivals in Chicago. You guys set up a tent, and is it interactive in the tents?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And what's great about that is because, as I said, we span a wide age range for what people are looking for at the store. And I believe firmly in my heart that any great children's game is a great drunk adult game. And so street festivals are an awesome way to kind of implement that, because you have like kids out with their families, and kids are usually pretty bored, honestly, at those things, and they're hot. And so they come over and they have a great time and play some games with us. And probably the same level of attention and mental processing is like super drunk women in their 40s.
Or Ride the Movie Guy.
Hey, cut it
Yeah,
out, man.
or
Jesus.
or Ride the Movie Guy, apparently. So they can come over and try something out and find out about the story. It's a lot of fun to work those, even though it can often be chaotic.
Yeah, I love good street festival.
Yeah, when growing up, what was your favorite board game?
My favorite board game was, well, as a little guy, I was very much into a game called Pretty Pretty Princess, which was
I.
which was a game
This
where
is weird, guys. This is so weird. Me too.
it's kismet. It was a very basic. It's a roll and move is what the industry term is for a game where you just like roll a die and move that number of spaces and do something. And in it, you were looking to like collect a set of jewelry. And it was great because I have 2 older brothers. So really it became very heated about this plastic costume jewelry. And we were all absolutely fabulous the whole time we played. I just recently met one of the women who designed it. And I was talking to her. Everything was going cool. I was like really acquitting myself in like a professional industry way. And then I couldn't help myself. I was like, so did you design Pretty Pretty Princess? And she's like, what? Yeah, I guess. And I'm like, cool. It was my favorite. It was just like not at all cool with Peggy Brown, who's a delight and a Chicago game inventor and like the coolest person I've ever met, about Pretty Pretty Princess. So, I mean, and I played a lot of D&D like through middle school into high school, and I'm currently DMing a game and playing in another one. So that's kind of my niche here.
You should meet James D'Amato, a friend of ours, who's
an RPG guy.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
This is his birthday. Happy birthday, James.
Oh, nice. So for the listeners, because you guys are online also, so people can buy all these crazy games. I'm like I said, you guys really have pretty much every game going.
And if we don't have it, I'm happy to get it for you. And if you don't know what you want, give us a call or send us. People have been weirdly shopping through Facebook lately, which I don't mind at all. Message us there, give us a call, send us an email. It's fun to figure it out. My favorite game is when somebody comes to me and says, I'm looking for a game, I don't remember the name of it, and then describes the game to me. That's like my number one favorite thing to do, because people are always fixated on really weird aspects of games. Probably the best one, a woman maybe, I don't know, a year ago was like, hey, I'm looking for a game that I played as a kid. It's got all these like square pieces of wood in it. I'm like, oh, is it Jenga? And she's like, no. Sorry, I'm not describing it right. You like, you stack them up into like a big like column. And I was like, yeah. And then you like take pieces out. She's like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Jenga. She's like, no, it's really, I'm sure it's not called that. So you're like taking them out, but you want it to fall down. She like proceeds to describe to me like in excruciating detail the game of Jenga.
Wow.
And I'm like, why would I I guarantee to you the game that you're thinking of, and then of course it became a joke around here where we would just like really exhaustively describe Jenga to each other and be like, yeah, when the tower falls down you say Jenga, but like I don't think that's the name of the game. And then the ultimate punchline is that we were sold out of it, so I couldn't even show her
the game
of Jenga.
Hilarious.
Wow.
But you did mention that, I think it was right before we were getting ready to record, that there are these escape rooms that Matt mentioned at the top.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a couple of cool new ones in Chicago. Something I can maybe get a hot tip on here?
Sure. So there's a number of awesome escape room companies in Chicago. I actually played an escape room designed by Sandy Weiss at one point, and he does them all around town as well, like in a briefcase. But at the time, it was this crazy like Cold War simulation that he was doing with the House Theater. It was amazing. And that's awesome. But if you don't have time for that, or if maybe you're stressed by the idea of that, we have 2 new games that are escape rooms basically in a box that you can take home and solve, and they're like $15. It's 2 different companies at the same time have published these. There's Unlock the Game and Escape the Room are the 2 sort of, I guess, games, and then each
you sell those.
We
here?
sell them here, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so in Escape the Room, you destroy the game as you play it. You like tear stuff up and write on it. You start at the beginning, and then you've got, they say to put an hour on the clock and to judge yourself harshly if you go past it. But they're $14.99, which is way cheaper than bringing a bunch of people to an escape room.
And you would do this at home. You would put yourself in a room
you would,
and do it.
Yeah, just like sit down to play this game, and either everyone would beat it or you would all fail. They're very, very cool. And they're that kind of, you're solving puzzles, you're making connections. It's very satisfying. It
sounds great.
Less expensive than two people going to a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, Unlock, you can replay. Like you can give it to somebody else to play through. It's card based. And I like it a tiny bit less because there's something very satisfying and interesting about the puzzles you can do with something that you've got to like physically like draw on and fold up and do all sorts of crazy stuff too. There's a whole bunch of components in the box. But I think that's a neat, I love the regular escape rooms. I've probably done like 15 of them.
Oh, wow.
Now, yeah.
You're a seasoned veteran.
I am a seasoned veteran. I know a number of people who work in them, and a lot of my family are in theater, and also I love feeling super smart, and escape rooms are amazing for that. Although I will say nothing is worse than a bad escape room, because I have done a couple that were like, not just like because I didn't get it, because let's be clear, I still won, but I didn't enjoy it,
Yeah, they were kind of wah wah.
Yeah, and that's super disappointing, which I can definitely say that new home escape rooms are fabulous. They did such an awesome job on those, and they're like, they were such a hit that they're already coming out with 3 more. So
nice.
I'm pretty jazzed.
So for the listeners listening to this that maybe want to buy a game, maybe it's one of those escape rooms, they can get their friends together and have a nice, awesome time doing it. I think that would be a blast. Where's the best place to find out more information on Cat and Mouse Online?
Oh, it's www.cat-n-mouse.com. And you can also follow us. We're pretty active on Instagram and on Facebook. Both of those are Cat and Mouse Games, all spelled out.
Do it.
Yes, do it. Do it. We like to end all of our guest interviews with some silly cinema cues, we call them. Get to know the guest through the eye of the lens. Elias, what do you got for Jess?
Jess, so you said that Cat and Mouse games can match a game to a personality type. So can you match a game to a Rye the Movie Guy who loves soccer, traveling, and drinking, and a Matt K who loves technology, magic, and drinking?
Yeah, am I looking for a game for both of them to
either
play
one,
together?
either or
separate or together.
That's always interesting to like find the midpoint between two people who have drastically different goals.
Yeah.
It's called Cinemajaw.
Well, usually what we start with, although it often is just a list of attributes, is a game that people like, and then kind of build out from there. But there's I don't know if there are any soccer games on the market. Game designers, get on it. But I have a ton of great games for traveling. There's a great series called, the first game is called Onorim, that are like very easy to learn, basically puzzle games that you play on your own, and they're super portable. They're really easy to take with you somewhere. Whenever I'm traveling, I find myself with a lot of, there's just downtime, you're like at the hotel waiting for dinner, or you're going to go meet somebody, or of course airport, that sort of thing. So I have a lot of awesome card games that are like light, easy to play at the bar, easy. Also, I have plenty of things too that like you could spill beer on. That's always like
That's key.
It's getting better and better.
Yes.
Yeah,
I need that.
So I'd say, something in the Universe, or Mayfair Games has a great title called Six Nimmt, which I wish they would change the title to, because that just, the tagline is not a game for the bullheaded, which is just the worst. Like it's obviously translated from German, and like maybe it's better in German, but like I really doubt it. But that one has an awesome solo play variant. You can play it solitaire, and it plays up to 12 people. It teaches in like 1 second. That's always my travel game. My go-to.
Good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
And as far as space goes, there's
technology,
so much.
magic, and also drinking.
I like space too.
And it's got to be something simple for him to play as well.
Hey.
Right.
6 or under.
Well, as we established, there's really, the ages on games are like 2 guys sitting in their garage were like, this is 6 and up, like there's not like there's a national board of games that all games go in front of and they like rank how old they're for. But as far as, are you talking like card magic? Are you talking like wizard magic? What do you...
You do card tricks.
Yeah, card trick type stuff.
Oh, that's disappointing. I just always want to talk about wizard magic.
Well, hey, Some people think it's wizard magic.
That's me. I did not know that you do card magic, and I desperately want you to do some magic tricks for me when this is over. So.
Absolutely. I've got a deck in my bag, of course.
There's a really terrific new game called I Got This, which is a physical manual dexterity game, which I think if you're doing small magic, you're going to have a huge advantage because a lot of it is balance, kind of sleight of hand based. But basically you have all of these absolutely ridiculous physical feats where you have to flip a button up into the air from the back of your hand and catch it, or throw a ring and have it land on your foot. There's
Cool.
Distance estimation. It is perfectly in the middle of the Venn diagram of children's games and adult drinking
And what's this
games.
one called?
It's called I Got This.
I got that.
Wow.
I'm going to totally get it.
But I think that'd be terrific for you.
Wow.
Sorry.
Love it.
Glad I
Get me
brought
started.
this up.
Get me started. I'll keep going forever.
See, a lot of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is great.
Was that everything?
Yeah, that's all.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So Jess is sitting in on this entire jaw. She has her favorite Pixar movies as well, so keep thinking about that. It does bring us to a segment called Eye for an Eye. Elias?
Yes, eye for an eye, interested or ignored. Eye for an eye, The Beguiled. At a girls' school in Virginia during the Civil War, where the young women have been sheltered from the outside world, a wounded Union soldier is taken in. Soon, the house is taken over with sexual tensions, rivalries, and an unexpected turn of events. The film stars Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst, Elle Fanning, and Colin Farrell. It is written and directed by Sofia Coppola, who is best known for directing Lost in Translation, The Bling Ring, and Marie Antoinette. We throw it over to Ryan.
Well, should be no surprise for the listeners that check us out every week. We did our summer movie preview. The Beguiled was one of my top 5 most anticipated films, and I mentioned mainly for the reason of Sofia Coppola. I still think she is one of those directors that I'm going to pretty much check out everything she does because I'm excited by it. She writes some interesting stuff. I haven't always thought everything she did was the best, like Marie Antoinette, but it was still... And she still is a director that I'm very interested in checking out the work, and I'm excited by this one. Very interested. Matthew?
Well, let me tell you, it was an ignore until Elias said an unexpected turn of events. That changes everything. Whenever there's an unexpected turn of events in a movie, I am there. No, seriously, yeah, I'm a big I almost said Francis Ford Coppola. I'm a big Sofia Coppola fan. I'm in.
Jess?
Well, I'm a little disappointed that it's a movie about a girls' school, but it's not a lesbian movie. Sad. Although maybe it still will be, even though they try for it not to be.
They said sexual tensions.
I know, but it's probably centered around Colin Farrell because I feel like every sexual tension is eventually centered around Colin Farrell. So I am interested in seeing it.
Elias, you making it 4 for 4?
So, as you all know, I came back from the Cannes Film Festival where this premiered, and this was my number 1 movie I was trying to get a red carpet screening to. I did not win the little lottery. I am absolutely interested.
That's a bummer. So you weren't unable to see it altogether, or just at that?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. Yeah, because there's a lottery system that they have that you kind of just throw your name in the hat, and or you just dress up in a tux
And walk in with confidence?
No, well, yeah, that's part of it, but also you just have a sign that says, "Please, if you have any extra tickets," while you're wearing a tux. But you could be standing out there for hours in the French Riviera in a tux, sweating, waiting for a ticket. But I have heard that works, but I didn't do that.
It feels like it'd be tough to get your rental fee back after you spent many hours standing in that tuxedo.
Exactly.
Drenched in sweat. But yes, and it sounded like, from what I've read online, was well received at the Cannes Film Festival as well. So I'm pretty pumped to check it out.
I'm not a big fan of that title, The Beguiled.
No, it's not good.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, interesting.
4 interesteds, though, for The Beguiled. Hopefully we'll get a review for you. Speaking of new movies, Matt.
Yeah. Cars 3.
Hoo-hoo.
The Cars films have neatly fallen into the sex and pizza category of Pixar films, which are generally good even when they aren't great. However, I must admit that the grim early advertising featuring a more realistic Lightning McQueen, sans anthropomorphic face tumbling in what looked like a career-ending crash, got me as excited as a Patrick Dempsey with extra anchovies. From this moment, everything will change, the poster promised us. Ryan and I put on our 3D glasses to see if Disney Pixar could deliver.
You are about to become the biggest brand in racing. Movie deals, infomercials, product endorsements. Ka-chow! You think you're famous now? We'll be rich beyond belief.
Mr. Serling, what is this about?
Your legacy. Every time you lose, you damage yourself. I'm sorry. Your racing days are coming to an end.
All I can say is that Steve Jobs never would have let this happen. Cars 3 marketing versus reality is like ordering a sirloin with grilled veggies and getting a Happy Meal with apple slices. Wrong on so many levels. Absent is the grim and Batman Begins-esque, Nolan-esque tone of the trailer about a hero past his prime, struggling to remain relevant and come to grips with his legacy. What we get instead is more saccharine toy commercial nonsense and Mater-laden cornball jokes that I bet even most kids won't appreciate. In this third lap for the franchise, we are treated to McQueen living out his glory days as king of the track in the opening moments. Soon, a new breed of racers with a decidedly millennial mindset of incremental gains and high-tech training methods begins to take over the sport, edging out McQueen and his contemporaries, culminating in that spectacular crash we saw in the trailer. I must say, the crash was actually pretty excellent and easily the best part of the movie. What follows is a mixed-up mess of a narrative that is unsure of what it's trying to be, as unsure as McQueen is himself. There's a Yoda within a Yoda within a Yoda type element that is ultimately underexplored, sloppy, and unsatisfying. There's an attempt at a torch passing, but the handoff was bobbled, dropped, and burned us. It's a bummer. Had we gotten the film that we were advertised, I think it would have been awesome. Let's hope they got her done, and Cars 3 is the final lap for McQueen and Mater. What did you think, Ryan?
You know, funny, I think you hit a lot on the head there. And I have to say, I think the highlight of Pixar is their creativity. And the Cars series lacks that overall, even the first one.
Oh, I know. Okay.
But the first one,
I don't know.
The first one, I will say it was smart to set it in the old Route 66 alongside the nostalgia theme with the old towns popping up around.
Americana.
Yes, I like that. And it was brilliant to cast Paul Newman as the old Hudson Hornet. And that really worked in the first one. Mm-hmm. It seemed like the creativity stopped there and did not grow with the series. The other note I took away from Cars 3 was how the writers basically sat down and said, let's rip off every element of the Rocky series and put it in a single film.
Yeah.
Okay, here I wrote down a few notes here, Matt. Just like Rocky 4, the new cars in Cars 3 on the circuit are training with all the newest technology, just like the Russian in Rocky 4. But Lightning McQueen, he has to train outside in the elements to get stronger. McQueen looks back at his now dead trainer, Hudson Hawk, the way Rocky looks back at Mickey in Rocky 5. And then there's the scene in Cars 3 where Lightning McQueen keeps racing against his trainer, Cruz Ramirez, on the beach, much like Rocky did with Apollo Creed in Rocky 3. The only thing it was missing was the ultra slow motion, masculine moment shared between Sylvester Stallone and Carl Weathers as they jumped around hugging each other in the splashing water when Rocky finally wins the race.
It wasn't missing from your mind, though.
That scene is one of my favorite scenes. I could just play that on a loop at a party with some dance music going. I think it would be a highlight.
Yeah.
But it literally ripped off the entire Rocky series, did it not?
We'll get to it when we talk about our influences, but that's an astute observation.
Yeah. I didn't find much humor in the film, nor did I find it enjoyable at all. I was thoroughly let down with Cars 3.
Wow. So you had trouble with the Rocky ripoffs. Was there a specific scene that you had trouble with?
As far as bad scenes or trouble I had with it, Matt, I would say every scene Larry the Cable Guy, who voices Mater, is in, he says, "Get her done," twice in the film, and I can't explain the pain that came over my body when he said it. It just stung the entire body. I mean, just like needle,
a jellyfish.
Yeah, like a needle hit my top of my head and just shot right through my body. Like, oh.
Who is that joke for? Am I off? I'm sorry.
No, you're on. Hey, who knows?
I have no idea.
I often find that about Pixar films. I'm just like, I don't know who's supposed to enjoy this, but it's not me.
Did you notice in our screening? Our screening did have a lot of people brought some of their kids. I mean, he would say "get her done," and I mean, it was just silence.
Ooh.
Yeah, it didn't even test well with kids.
No.
Maybe in Chicago, not in the South.
So the scene that I had the most trouble with was anytime the cars try to use handheld technology. Because the world building sort of breaks down when they're doing video calls. There's even a scene with a band on the stage, and I'm like, how's he playing the guitar? He doesn't have fingers.
It's just a car next to instruments.
It's one of those little forklift things.
What?
Which are prevalent in the Cars universe.
I mean, this has always been the thing that keeps me away from the franchise is just where did they come from? Like, I saw the first one, they're like driving through people towns, but there's no people now.
See,
Who
I was
goes
okay.
in the cars.
I was okay with all of that, but they really have stretched the...
That's what I've heard is that like as the films go on, it gets harder and harder to ignore the existence of the cars. Like how did this happen? It's sort of like there's an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine where they're all super worried because the slowest one of them is going to be melted down for scrap. And like you can't build a world where the trains are like thinking, feeling entities and then just casually threaten to kill one, you know?
Well, you can.
And
apparently they did.
You can and they did. Though I mean that's like it's like the second most imperialist kids cartoon. I could get on this, but I'm not going to. But like there's a little bit of that to me in Cars too. It's just like you can't have it both ways. Like you can have a world of sentient cars, but you can't have a world of sentient cars with no people and then maybe also people
and guitars.
And
How
guitars.
did they change the strings?
Like why would you even think of a guitar if you were a sentient car?
Right. Yeah. Doesn't
Obviously,
make sense.
play some keyboards.
Okay. So a lot of negatives. Any positives? Any favorite scenes you had?
Favorite scene for me was the animation all around in this movie is absolutely amazing, but I really liked it when they're traveling through the different parts of the country. There's a part where they got to go and you get
the road montage.
Yeah, you get the road montage, and it ends up that Lightning McQueen ends at Doc Hudson's old track, and it has this historic feel. Like there's been history at this track. And when you're looking at an animated set, somebody draws that and it looks and gives you that feel. Thumbs up to the animators. They really accomplished something there. They actually make me feel like I'm looking at history.
I wasn't kidding when I said that the crash was pretty spectacular. I mean, here's Lightning McQueen, who's a superhero, right? And he fails. He's going as hard as he can. And I'm not ruining anything. It's right in the trailer. He blows a tire and he has this spectacular crash, and the entire theater was quiet. And the movie could have gotten better from that point, but didn't. It was a cool moment.
Okay. You said you wanted to talk about movie influences, Matt. So
it's funny. I put down Rocky. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it, dude.
I listed Rocky 1 through 6, and also a little of the Karate Kid, especially at the end. Did you pick up on this, Matt? When Lightning McQueen is saying phrases to Cruz Ramirez that only the two of them know from training, because she has all those like goofy ways of explaining something.
Yeah, sand the floor, right? Yeah.
It has that type of feel, like go for the open,
fluffy cloud,
or whatever. It's like, oh my god, this is right out of Karate Kid. It's ridiculous.
Did you learn anything from this movie?
I learned, and I'm sad to say, that Pixar can make a bad movie.
I learned don't believe the hype. I was so into the marketing for this movie. I was really hoping for something real.
I see.
Not so much.
So speaking of marketing, what would your movie poster quote be?
Keep driving till you get to another movie.
Well, I hate to repeat a line from my review, but my movie poster quote is Cars 3 marketing versus reality is like ordering a sirloin with grilled veggies and getting a Happy Meal with apple slices.
I also have to give you props for during your review, you mentioned Patrick Dempsey with extra anchovies. That was a great pull.
Thank you. Deep cut.
Yeah.
Let's assign some Jaws here, Matt.
1.5.
1.5 as well.
Whoa.
We usually don't agree, and we don't agree usually when we're both on the downside of it. 1.5 Jaws for Cars 3, though. I agree.
I think I liked Cars 2 better.
Whoa.
I skipped Cars 2.
I mean, this one's prettier, but it was way more disappointing. Like Cars 2, you're kind of it's a Mater adventure, so you're kind of expecting it to be goofball, and it was kind of a fun little like espionage thing. This one is just crap. I'm sorry. I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
I mean, they had like more money than God to make it, and so I bet it looked astounding.
It did.
But like, I feel like, are writers that expensive? Like, every writer I know will work for almost nothing. Like, I know that like they really had story points that they wanted to hit so that they could make the play sets. Like, I guarantee that was was plotted out before the plot of the film, and they just had to kind of like squeeze it all in there. But like, holy cow, especially if you're going to spend that much money on a movie, you should probably take some time.
I had a bit that I cut out of my review about how the new characters were as thin as the cardboard on the toys blister packs and is easily thrown away. It's like, yeah.
I will give props. I don't think you liked it as much as I did to the short film Lou that kicks it off. I enjoyed Lou. Really liked the animation.
That was a miss for me too.
I like that. I thought it was heartfelt.
Boo on Lou.
All about a lost and found in a playground. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's no Piper. Let's be serious here.
No, it was no Piper for sure. I agree with that. And I will say that cause for concern. The red light is flashing on Pixar for the first time.
No, I don't think so.
Listen to the last three movies. Listen to the last three movies. The Good Dinosaur, Finding Dory, Cars 3. That's their last three releases.
Yeah, but right before that was Inside Out.
I know.
And Finding Dory was not that bad. I liked Finding Dory.
Middle of the road.
No.
It was definitely better than Cars 3. They're
well,
definitely much better, but...
Save it.
Yes.
Let's get to it.
That is our topic this week. And it is something new. We're going to try this also very soon down the line when Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan's new movie, comes out. We're going to try to rank all of our favorite Christopher Nolan movies as well.
You know what? Let's set this challenge for ourselves right now and be Nolan completists when Dunkirk comes
I already
out.
am.
Okay.
I think you might only have one film to watch.
Yeah.
Following, I think.
Yep.
Was first film.
Yep.
So, but as we mentioned at the top, Cars 3, I am missing 3 films. Matt is missing 2.
Dose.
And Jess is missing
7 or 8. I don't. How many are there?
They have
There's
a total
18,
of
right?
Cars 3 makes 18.
Holy cow! So yeah, that's
missing about 13.
Yep. Look at you doing math.
You do have a top 5.
I do have a top 5, and I do want to clarify. You know, I'm at an awkward age for the Pixar films in that, like, I saw Toy Story as a kid. Maybe, I mean, I can't even think of, probably Finding Nemo came out when I was in high school, you know, so like.
You weren't about to watch a kid's movie.
Yeah.
You weren't yet old enough to like appreciate them.
I was not quite in the range to like ironically enjoy them. And then I don't have any children. So like I've picked up a few here and there. Just I've been on a bus, you know, like I've taken air travel, and I've babysat too, which primarily seems to be like, hey kids, who wants to watch a Pixar movie while I sit on my phone? Just kidding, I'm a great babysitter. Please hire me. But like I feel like the golden age of Pixar, I just kind of totally missed. So I think I've seen 5 or I've actually seen 6 because unlike both of you, I've seen The Good Dinosaur.
There you go.
You're
so
not missing.
Fill us in.
You're missing 0 of anything. Holy cow!
Now we're also going to ask Elias and Phil me and
yeah,
Phil.
Phil's a big Pixar
He's a big
guy.
So at the end, when we get to our number ones, we'll swing it around and see what everybody's favorite Pixar movie is and why.
So we're
be a
doing
good discussion.
We're doing these in chunks of 3.
Yeah, we're going to do these in chunks of 3 to get started and see how this discussion goes.
Okay.
You want to get started with your
Sure.
10, 9, and 8 picks, Matt?
Sure. Somewhat unceremoniously, here we go. 10, Brave. 9, Cars. 8, Monsters, Inc.
Wow. Monsters, Inc.
That low.
That low. Okay.
That low.
Yeah. I think the only shocker there is Brave even made the list. I wasn't positive it would make the top 10 list.
Well, again, it did. It's there at number 10.
Yeah. All right.
It tried something new, you know, and I think the ones beneath it belong beneath it.
Interesting. You got all Toy Stories on your list? All 3 of them?
Not all 3.
Okay.
You?
Yeah, I made all 3 made
All
my
3.
list. All 3 made my
Well,
list.
that's original, right?
Yeah. Well, they're very
Branch out a
worthy.
little, dude.
Hey, no, I studied this list for hours on end to make sure I got this exactly right. And my number 10 is Monsters, Inc.
Okay.
Did love the pairing of John Goodman and Billy Crystal. That was about it for me. Number 10, but it's number 10. Number 9, my shocker of all shockers, Up, is at number 9.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
a shocker.
2009 film, very emotional opening 20 minutes. The rest of the film,
Academy Award nominated Best Picture nominee.
yeah, and you know what ticked me off too that year is I believe I'm correct on this it was the year that Fantastic Mr. Fox came out also, and I liked Fantastic Mr. Fox more than I even liked Up.
The opening first 15 minutes of Up. That opening sequence is devastating.
Oh my God.
Tearjerker.
And that's, I like, so that came out in theaters and I went with like my cool guy hipster friends to the Logan because we just like needed air conditioning and it's what was playing. And I definitely did not expect to just be sobbing in front of a bunch of people I did not know. Because maybe the reason I don't like Pixar movies is I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of TV as a kid and I will cry at any movie. I will cry. Name a movie that's even remotely sad, or if a dog's in danger, or if somebody has a complicated relationship with their dad, and I have cried during it. So Up was like
that about covers it for me too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know my weaknesses, but Up was crazy because we've like got some beers, we're like hanging out. It's a Tuesday, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die alone.
Up was yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Finishing out my bottom 3 here. At number 8 is Toy Story 2. This was Pixar's first sequel, 1999 it came out. Love how it showed more aspects of the toys, especially the toy collectors who didn't take the toys out of the plastic.
Yeah.
I love that whole element of it. And
Agreed.
And it was
much
like,
better world building than the Cars series.
Yeah, it was like, okay, they did Toy Story. What could they possibly do with Toy Story 2 and 3? And wow, that's a series that grows and grows. I love all the Toy Stories. So that was my 10, 9, and 8. Matt.
Swings us to 765.
Yeah. And then Jess is going to be joining in.
Okay, cool. At 7, and this will be controversial for you, Rye. I bet this is way higher up on your list. I have Wall-E. You gonna buzz me? No? Okay.
Well, I'm not going to buzz you.
Okay.
It's too low. It's definitely too low.
At 6, The Incredibles, right? This
Nice.
is that's I think where it belongs. Excited for the sequel. And at 5, here's where I have Up.
Nice. Okay.
It's the middle of the pack as far as the top 10 Pixar films.
Yes. Okay. I thought you were going to go way higher with Up, to be absolutely honest.
You could make an argument.
Yeah.
But I only because there are so many like much better films.
Right.
Like, much better films.
Yeah. And I'm almost right with you. On number 7 for me is The Incredibles. So I'm right there with you. Middle of the pack. Was one of the better superhero films that I had seen up to that point. I mean, now they've really exploded, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Number 6, Toy Story 3. You were just talking about how Up made you sob. Toy Story 3 is going to get you to cry also. I was looking at their list. I probably have teared up at about 5 different Pixar movies, I think, and Toy Story 3 being one of them. And I love that the series and the toys are at that point have a nostalgia feel about them. So the ending, when Andy doesn't like the toys anymore, is giving them away. I mean, tear-jerking.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I actually realized I have seen that, which means that I've actually seen 7 Pixar films.
There you go. They're all coming to her now. Rounding out my middle 3 here at number 5, Matt. 2003's could be way higher on your list. I bet it is. Finding Nemo.
That's a good one. I think it should be higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
number
it will,
5.
It will be.
Yeah. Great underwater adventure I got listed here. Ellen was fantastic. Also, shout out to the sea turtles. They were my favorite.
Nicely done.
And the aquarium, the whole aspect of the fish in the aquarium, fantastic.
So how do you want to do this now? Do you want to bring Jess in here?
Yeah, now we'll bring in Jess here at number 5. Your number 5, Jess.
Sure. My number 5 is actually Finding Nemo, which I enjoyed, and I think it's got kind of an interesting narrative arc for a kid's film, because there's a lot of children's movies where kids are trying to find their parents. Like, it's kind of a well-worn trope that if you want to make children's fiction, you have to immediately remove the parents from the equation because nothing interesting can happen to kids when their parents are there. So it was sort of exciting to me to kind of go the other way in a kid's movie. And like, would kids be interested in watching a movie of just like a dad loses shit for like,
Yes. Apparently, yes.
Apparently, yes.
Just throw in Ellen DeGeneres as the forgetful fish.
At the bottom of my list, although actually now having remembered that I've seen Toy Story 3, I'd probably put that at 5 and Finding Nemo at 6, because I sobbed for, I would say, 60% of Toy Story 3. The big joke at the time, which I'm absolutely into, is like Toy Story 3 cutting onions should be like the subtitle of the movie, because like, oh my God. And then totally for me, like, having seen the original as a kid and then watching Toy Story 3 as a young adult, it hits really hard. Just like on the loss of your childhood innocence, on the ways that you change as you become an adult. So that also, though, I did not enjoy the jokes in Toy Story 3. Like, I thought it was a good movie, but I felt like there was a lot of like pressure for tagline in it, and I feel
Yeah.
like Pixar kind of falls into like this needs to be quotable for children really hard, and I guess all of them do now.
Well, they set the bar pretty high with like To Infinity and Beyond. And yeah.
So yeah, I am gonna ding Finding Nemo for reasons totally unrelated to it, in that I for years worked in an aquarium store, and like the amount of people who want to keep saltwater fish because of that movie, who are totally unprepared to keep saltwater fish, like really that one's on my hit list for that.
That's a ding. That's a ding. I like
Yeah.
it. All right. So what do you got? 4-3-2.
All right. 4-3.
4-3-2. These are our top tier.
Yeah, top tier. And let's keep the discussion going, because at number 4, that is where I have Finding Nemo. And make no mistake, in my opinion, Finding Nemo is a masterpiece. I could sit down and watch it today and get tons of enjoyment out of it. I love it. It's a timeless classic story. It hasn't been overdone. I just love it. I love Marlin and I love Dory even. The whole movie is just fun. It's a great adventure.
Agree.
And number 3, this is where I have the classic, the one that got it all started, Toy Story.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably nothing new I could say about this movie, so I'll just move on. Number 2, I have a sequel, Toy Story 3.
Wow. Toy Story 3 above Toy Story.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, so many things changed between Toy Story and Toy Story 3. Like, Jess, you were pointing out how it's about the loss of innocence. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I was young when Toy Story came out. So I grew kind of with Andy, and I was at the point where all my toys were getting discarded. And, obviously I'm a grown-up now. Plus, the animation has come so far, the technology. I mean, Toy Story was the first completely computer-generated animated feature. But since then, there's been hundreds, thousands. And Toy Story 3, we really got to see them flex their muscles, because it's sort of their flagship franchise, right? They really have to put it all on the cutting edge for this. And I think they did it brilliantly. And plus, it's just a better story.
And I think too, because Toy Story is so successful, because they made a bold choice in making it kind of a darker film, I think, in a lot of ways,
Yes.
and really allowing it to breathe as a story in Toy Story 3 compared to a lot of animated films, to a lot of kids media in general. The best stuff goes kind of dark. And I think because they knew no matter what they did, it was going to make infinity money.
And beyond.
Maybe the writers had a little more freedom to do that, because they had these characters that were lived in, that people were comfortable with, that you could kind of build out a little bit more.
Well said.
Yeah.
It is the Empire Strikes Back of the Toy Story franchise.
I remember when it was coming out,
dang.
it was like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And my line was that it was getting such good buzz, it gave me a Woody.
Boo.
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a good joke. That's why
You
retold it.
overuse it, but
Yeah.
it is a good joke.
Worth coming back for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm done touching them all. Here we go. My number 4. All right. These are my heavy hitters, right? Number 4, 2007. Here's where I have Ratatouille. Almost the best celebration of food movie there is. Animation's wonderful. It was at the time where I thought, what the hell is Pixar doing? They're going to make a movie about a rat that cooks. This is so dumb, And then I watched the movie. I'm thoroughly entertained. And then at the end, it hits you with this emotional punch of, the critic smelling the ratatouille and having this flashback to his
Proustian reverie. Yes.
and it is a moment. I mean, I just sat on the couch and sobbed. Like wow. I mean, yes, my mom's cooking. I remember it doesn't ever get talked about much in film. The sense of smell, the way they captured it is just, it knocked me off my
That's
seat.
a good observation. Yeah.
It really was awesome. Number 3 here, I have Wall-E. And
You overvalue this movie.
no, God, no, I don't. This was I would say this is Pixar animation finally had a social message involved in their films, more so than any other at that point is what I would go as far as saying. And
It's a really safe social message, though.
Yeah. But I love the fat humans. They can't move anymore. I loved all that.
They clobbered you over
Sigourney
the head.
Weaver is the voice of the computer. Loved it.
I think they use Sigourney Weaver much better in Finding Dory.
And again, I teared up at the end when you think that Eve is not going to remember anything.
You're softy, man.
Oh, I'm a softie for these movies. So that was my number 3, and now my number 2, Toy Story, the one that kicked it all off.
Okay.
I go with the original at number 2.
It's respectable.
And I've watched it
It's way more respectable than WALL-E.
quite a few. These are all at this point, I think, masterpieces. I want to throw the runtime into the Jawbox, Elias. I want to say it's not even 90 minutes. It's got to be like 85 minutes or something.
Right. Yeah,
And-
they were stretching it. Yeah.
It's amazing how much they get done. It really is an adventure that Buzz and Woody go on. You really feel these toys have like left the bedroom and you went somewhere, and the claw and everything about the movie was so great. And it's like, you can't even watch a television program that length and get that much story and plot and character development.
Not to mention the music.
How
right?
the hell Pixar did it
Randy
is still
Newman.
boggles my mind in that time. That was awesome. So Toy Story, my number 2. That brings us over to Jess. Your 4, 3, and 2.
My 4, 3, and 2. So at 4, I have WALL-E, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I think it's really stylish. Like the movie looks great in a way that I think a lot of, I mean, they all look good, but it's like the futurism I think really suits the Pixar style, and I don't know, I love robots. Like at any time. Oh, speaking of movies that make me fucking cry is Iron Giant, which is just like.
This comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Did you know Vin Diesel is the voice of the Iron Giant?
What?
Mind blown.
He's also a big D&D guy. I don't know if you knew that, but
No.
Vin Diesel is constantly talking about his D&D game, and you can listen to an ASMR, the kind of head tingly thing of Vin Diesel very quietly reading you a D&D adventure. It's sometimes how I go to sleep. It's not a big deal. If you guys ever need anybody to talk really obsessively about Fast and Furious movies, I am also here for that.
Wow. We found her. There she is.
I loved WALL-E. I saw that one in the theater, so that's my number 4. I've got Toy Story actually at number 3. Just I think, and part of that is really just familiarity. Like it was one of a handful of VHS tapes that we had.
Wow, that's how long ago it was, yeah.
And so I know every beat of that movie. And it was a delight as an adult to sort of rediscover that Randy Newman is just like filthy and weird and hysterical. And in my mind, he had just only really been the Toy Story guy because Randy Newman never made the amount of money that he should have. At number 2, I have Up, which, as I mentioned before,
wow.
I just like also was gutting. But then the rest of the movie is a delight, is fun. And you have also
Doug the dog.
The dog is fun. The children kind of interacting with curmudgeonly elderly people is funny. And to kind of build this empathy experiment for kids, you know, because I remember as a kid, and I encounter it a lot at work, it's hard when you're a little person to think about how somebody else is feeling. That's a skill that some people never develop, and kids develop a lot later than you think they might. And so to build a movie where like your like sympathetic, really main character is a sad old man who just wants to go home. I mean, kind of on a macro level, I think that's a really bold choice. I think it really works. It stands out certainly from the pantheon of other kids' movies.
Absolutely.
It
All
really
right.
does.
Here we are, number 1s. I can't believe this because just doing the math in my head, I know that me and Matt have the same number 1.
Yeah.
And Jess may have also, but Jess is a wild card because I don't know exactly what she has seen and hasn't seen, but we may all agree that this is the pinnacle of Pixar movies. I know me and Matt agree. Matt, what's your number 1?
Okay, the exact opposite experience from Cars 3. Here's a movie that I didn't ask for. When I saw the advertising, wasn't hooked, wasn't interested, and for all all the conceits, intents, and purposes you see in the advertising, this movie was not made for me, and I thought it was going to suck. And then I went in and I discovered an absolute work of genius in Inside Out. It's a tough sell, right? Here's a movie about being inside a little girl's head. And okay, right away, I'm a male, so maybe that's part of why it didn't appeal to me. I don't know. But I'm also an adult, so why would I care about being inside a little kid's head? There's anthropomorphic emotions. Get me off this train. But then you watch it, and oh my God, what is the Imaginary's friend?
Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. Holy crap, that whole thing. I mean, it takes you back to what it means to be a child and what we learn about ourselves through Riley and the little characters inside her head. They nailed the psychology of children just in general so well and personified it like I don't think anybody's ever even gotten close to.
I agree. I have written down in my notes, it's the most intellectual film Pixar's ever made. And I agree with you. It knocked me off my seat. I wasn't expecting that going to see Inside Out. We actually, I remember we missed the screening and we had the guest on was Matt Pace, who used to write for The Red Eye. And I like Matt and I've gotten to know him through the times. But I would actually say I disagree with his opinion most of the time. So if he doesn't like a movie, I think I'll like it. And I remember him coming on and not liking Inside Out. He had seen the screener. And he came on, and I remember thinking in the back of my head, like, well, that's a good sign. Maybe I'll go see it because
Matt, if you're listening, we're sorry.
I know. And he does listen to Jaw every once in a while. So I was like, well, I'll go check it out. And I went and I saw it. And I've talked about this on Cinemajaw, where I'm sitting around on a Saturday morning, the theater's filled with families and kids, and I'm bawling my eyes out with Bing Bong.
Oh my God.
And I wrote down her. I mean, even this last line when I was writing it down, I was doing my search. I got choked up. Bing Bong's last line as he's going down the I forget the terminology they use, but basically he's
the memory dump. I think.
Yeah, the memory dump. He's just going. Bye-bye. No more Mr. Bing Bong. And he says to Joy, who is voiced by Amy Poehler, take her to the moon for me. And it really sums it up when you think about it. This is the imaginary friend. The idea of like going to the moon when you're a kid, you're supposed to go as far as your imagination can take you, what you can learn. I mean, the thing is just so well thought out. It's literally incredible. It's a masterpiece. The voice acting here, Amy Poehler as Joy, Louis Black as Anger, Bill Hader as Fear, Phyllis Smith as Sadness. Hilarious.
Yeah, and oh man,
Richard Kind as Bing Bong.
Disgust. Who played Disgust?
Throw it in the jaw box.
I know it's a comedian. I forget her name, but she's very talented. I like her. The whole cast was fantastic.
Yeah, and I have only seen Inside Out once. Dying to revisit it.
You're kidding me.
Only one time.
Oh,
Saw it in that theater. It's one of my favorite movie-going experiences was watching this in the theater. So.
Having kids, you get to watch these movies again and again. I've seen Inside Out like at least 10 times.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I just remember it ending thinking, God, I hope these kids don't turn around and see me bawling. Like, I'm the only like male adult with no kids in the theater. Just don't look at me.
I'm sure there was not a dry eye.
It was awesome.
No, the parents were like, come on, honey, don't look at that man.
Yeah, and I mean, it was
Stay
even
in school,
worse.
kids. Look at this guy.
Because I decided I don't know why, for some reason I went to the theater without wearing pants, so the whole thing was strange. It was just one of those weird days.
That's not a joke. He really got arrested.
No, I'm
just kidding.
All right. So my number one, Matt's number one, Inside Out. Jess, what do you got sitting?
I've never seen it, so maybe it would be my number one. Well, because I like saw the ads and I was like, I don't. This seems a little hokey for me. Like, we're gonna get so touchy-feely on our feelings that like they're gonna be characters in this movie. But a ton of my friends have really enjoyed it, and I was meant to get around to it. So now your recommendation, I'll be sure to have the box of tissues handy. But that's honestly almost every movie.
It's really good.
I cried at Krull the other day. To be fair though, that's
wait, the scene where the Cyclops dies.
Yep.
Yes,
that's
of course.
Gutting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I remember watching that without any pants on.
Right, we get some pants.
I think that's the only way to watch Krull, honestly, which is embarrassing because I was in the music box to see it. So, so my number one's actually Ratatouille, which you've not seen.
Right.
Wow.
But Ratatouille's, other than Toy Story, the one that I think I've seen the most often. And I think I wanted to like it because it was so on the surface unlikable. Like I definitely went into it being like, yeah, okay, let's do this rat cook movie. But I love too that it so not only do you get this amazing sort of evocation of the powers of food to kind of transport you, which is not really focused on for kids at all. I'm like struggling to think of another kids movie about cooking. But I'd even put it like in the range of just a great fictional story about food. The voice acting cast is great. It looks sharp, and I think it looks if it's making like little tiny Francophile children, I think like The city looks amazing. Everybody, like the cobblestones and the warmth and the sort of Euro-ness of it, I think were very appealing to me. But it's also just really funny. And even like the relationships of the people in the kitchen are like feel very authentic and lived in. Like whoever wrote it has spent some time, I think, cooking in a professional kitchen, because like there's a lot of trash talking on each other and people are helpful but conservative. It's a movie that gives you a lot of complicated emotional states and just it expects kids in, and I think it did pretty well in the box office if I remember.
And you mentioned it had like a warmth to it, the look of the film, and I think that's important too, because cooking sort of has a warmth to it. When
it's a very cozy movie.
Yeah, when you have a communal moment where you cook and you serve food, maybe with family or friends, it has a warmth to it, and that whole movie gives you the magic of like cooking and enjoying food and each other. I just love Ratatouille.
I also love I love three kids in a trench coat pretending to be an adult, and like the whole movie is basically that, except the kids are a rat inside of a hat pretending to be a cook, I guess. They managed to pull off. Just now I described it. Matt's making a face. He's like, that can't possibly be what happens.
No, I get it. I get the analogy.
50% of the movie is a human person being controlled by a rat inside of a hat, and it works. Which is just the whole thing is.
Well, I mean, if they can make personified emotions work, obviously they can make anything work.
You should watch it and like be prepared to eat an excellent meal afterwards, because it always makes me hungry.
I liked it so much, I actually bought the Ratatouille cookbook. Now, this is for kids, so you learn how to make like macaroni and cheese, but I had to have the damn cookbook. I got it in my house.
So that's how you learn to make the mac and cheese.
Right. Didn't you just yesterday Instagram hot dogs and mac and cheese?
This is so funny, because I really did, yes.
Was it from the cookbook?
It was not from the cookbook. This was Kraft mac and cheese, but I will say what I like to do to spice it up is I top it with crushed red pepper, my mac and cheese. Little hint for the jawheads that may want to spice up their mac and cheese.
This has been Cooking Hour with Rye the Movie Guy.
That is funny. All right. As promised, though, we wanted to throw it out because everybody has, I think, an opinion on their favorite Pixar movie. We'll start off over with Phil, and then we'll end with Elias. Phil, obviously, sort of our in-house animation expert fan. He seems to see just about every animated film these days. Phil, I know this would be probably difficult on you to select only one Pixar movie, but if you had to only choose one.
How much time do I get?
What do you want to give him, Matt? I mean, he's been doing a great job with the edit. We're getting emails about him.
Give him a minute 30.
Wow. I was going to go 45 seconds. All right.
Because I can
30.
Let's split the difference
you could really
with
talk,
1 minute.
You could talk all night.
I could say a lot of different things, and I could even Mindy Kaling. I'm sorry, Elias, I stole your job. That's who plays this.
Oh, it's Mindy Kaling.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna watch it.
It's very good. Also, like, there's a million things that I could talk about that film alone, right? Because it's not kids' emotions; it's intentionally casted by adults, right? They're adults' emotions, but kids feel them too. There's a million things. Ratatouille is amazing. Brad Bird's an amazing human being. He also did Iron Giant, which explains why you love that film so much. He also did Incredibles, right? And so, right when you
talk knows his stuff.
When you talk about Pixar, right, there is a pantheon. There is a lot of like really good stuff. We're talking Randy Newman, as was discussed, or who wasn't discussed, Michael Giacchino, who's the composer for almost every other Pixar film, with some really, really great work, right? Exhibit Finding Nemo, or even the Good Dinosaurs soundtrack, which admittedly I don't think it's necessarily the best Pixar film, is amazing. But again, Randy Newman or him, or John Lasseter, or Brad Bird, or Pete Docter. I personally, I know Ride the Movie Guy has commented on my apparel and how much I love this film multiple times on the Jaw, and I have to directly disagree with what is popular opinion on CinemaJaw and say that Monsters, Inc. is my favorite Pixar film.
Whoa!
Because I think one, it came out for me when I was that age, right? I also think that it has always been one of the most underrated Pixar films, in my opinion. And I think that Pete Docter, who is the same man who made Inside Out, mind you, even then,
Matt K.
Aggressive.
I'm minding.
That mind you was for you, Matt K.
knew what he was doing.
He was higher on my list than Ryan's. I think.
He's a member of the Pixar Brain Trust, and like none of those gentlemen can ever do any wrong. I think that they're brilliant.
Well, then explain Cars 3 to me, Phil.
That was actually not done by John Lasseter. It was done by a storyboard artist.
Yeah,
so.
Brian Lee. Blame that guy.
Although John Lasseter did do Cars 1. So he is in some ways responsible for that. He's
Okay,
also
so Cars Inc. is your number one. Cars
Monsters, yes. Monsters Inc. is my number one because I think it's I don't know. I was also a very, very, very scared little kid, right? So I think that's part of being like an anxious loser is that I don't know, just seeing like that these things that are otherwise just horrifying and scary and things that you're told that you should be afraid of, you don't necessarily need to be.
Right.
And
they
that,
just punch the clock and
that
they're
they
normal.
no, that they can be funny and that they can be nice and that, you know, it was like Wreck-It Ralph before Wreck-It Ralph even existed, that the bad guys are good guys. And I think that
Wreck-It
was
Ralph.
Yeah. And where do you think that idea came from, Matt?
Yeah, boy, see,
Wow.
Matt, you are on Phil's bad side.
Just because I didn't have it as my number one, man.
It's a very good film.
Feeling personally
it wasn't
attacked
even
here.
on either of their lists.
I've never
so
seen it, so
it's just very, very good.
point some of
Not
that ire
universally,
at
but-
me.
All right,
Monsters Inc. was on my list, Phil.
Yeah,
I know.
And it was on mine also, number 10. It's just a
Oh.
number 10. It's a number 10.
Should
that's
be
all
way
it is.
higher.
All right, now we move it over to Elias. And just to
Wow.
paint the picture here, because we're doing a podcast, so you got to, you know.
Yeah, we got to tell them the visuals.
Yeah, Phil is sitting there. As he's talking, he's sort of
Levitated.
levitating. He's getting higher in his chair. At first, he went Indian style, both feet off the ground. Now he is literally
It's like Dalsim from Street Fighter. He just like crossed his legs and levitated into the air.
Now he is basically standing on a chair as he finished his speech. That was awesome.
He's passionate. I respect it, Phil.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Elias, are you going to levitate?
Wow, yeah, I'm not going to be able to follow that up as well spoken or passionately spoken as Phil did, honestly. Although I will say, so my number 2 is Toy Story. You know, they could have relied on the nostalgia because you just have these toys that everybody knows, and it's kind of easy to write to characters to obvious, you know, styles. And but they, like Rye said, they pack so much amazing story into a short amount of time. And they, like, again, I don't think they really had to do that, but they went for it, which is why it was so amazing. And so then Toy Story 2 I was let down by, and then Toy Story 3 is my number 1. I feel like then
See?
at that point they were able, just like the nostalgia factor with the first one, they could have had it easy just by going with that. Like at this point, they had, you know, a couple other movies that they built that they could have.
They had an empire.
Yes, exactly. And everybody was connected to these characters already and references and lines and all that stuff. So they could have just relied on that. And again, I was let down by Toy Story 2, but Toy Story 3, I was just completely blown away. And Jess, you mentioned it was darker, and I feel like they didn't even have to do that, but they did. They fully went for it. And of course, you know, like I said, they could have just relied on the lines. And boy, oh boy, did they bring the best line, you know, out of nowhere. I didn't see it coming when the claw, the aliens.
Yeah.
The claw. And just at the perfect moment, it seems like it made me feel that entire trilogy was built for that one moment of how amazing, like, they knocked it out of the park. And yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
I'm getting kind of misty just remembering
Yeah.
Toy Story 3 right
too.
now.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. You got tissues in this game house here we're in?
We just use the Monopoly money. It's fine.
Boy, oh boy. All right. If we missed your favorite Pixar movie, or if you agree with our picks, disagree with our picks, or if you just want to learn how Phil levitated, shoot us an email, feedback@cinemajaw.com, or a tweet @cinemajaw. We'll retweet it and get the discussion going. What we're going to do is take a quick break, get some Kleenex, dry our eyes, and then we got trivia. Matt's taking Jess on in Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst trivia, plus a CinemaWAR looking at Michael Bay, of all people.
Michael Bay.
Not to mention, we're going to try one of these quick board games when we come back. We'll be right back on CinemaJaw.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Hey, Jawheads. CinemaJaw's favorite musician, Sarantos, is back with a new music video for his latest song, Above the Clouds. We'll throw a link to it in the show notes, and head over to melogia.com, that's melogia.com, for all the information on Sarantos, and you can watch the video there as well. And we thank him for his support.
To get ourselves a treat.
And we are back on CinemaJaw, hanging out with Jessica Tylkowski from Cat and Mouse Games, located at 1112 West Madison Street here in Chicago. It's the West Loop neighborhood. If you want to buy an escape room game, if you want to buy any type of board game, you can go to their website, which is cat-n-mouse.com. Do it. Everybody loves playing games, having a few drinks at home. It's a fun activity, Matt.
Yeah, and they have like little community-style gaming nights where you can come in and play your favorite game with your friends.
Speaking of playing our favorite game with friends, we did tease that we would play a game really quick here on Cinemajaw in lieu of the second part of the interview. So this is what we're going to do. Jess, what is the game that me and Matt are about to play here?
So I picked from our extensive library of games Super Fight, which is a game of absurd arguments from Skybound Games.
This is perfect.
I had a sneaking suspicion you guys would like this one. In Super Fight, you basically draft a fighter from a couple of cards based on a person and a power. And what's fun is you choose the person and one power, and then you get another one of the rejected powers randomly assigned to you. And so both people, 2 people at a time, are in a fight. Although if you want to get sassy, you can make it 3. Gonna leave that joke where it is. So then you make a 30-second argument or a minute-long argument, depending on how fast you want the game to go, why your guy would beat the tar out of the other guy, and everyone else who's playing votes on who would win. It's a classic bar game, but the cards in it are hysterical and very, very silly. So
Okay. So at the end of this, we're each going to have one fighter that has 2 powers.
correct.
All right. So,
Got it.
One of which you chose and one of which was randomly assigned to you and might not actually be advantageous.
Okay, so what do I pick out
So-
of these black cards? Pick
Yeah,
one?
so go ahead and pick up all your cards there. Look at all of them. And you're going to choose one black card, which are the powers, and one white card, which is your fighter. If you'd like, you can... Well, no, don't read out your options because then you're going to hear them. Each other's, and then you'll stack them.
So discard one black
Yes.
card
Mhm.
and discard one white.
Wow, this is a really tough choice. This is a really tough choice. I'm almost just going to like do it random style here.
Hurry up here.
I mean, it's a total coin toss
Yeah,
here.
but it's 2 cards. Just pick one or the
All
other.
right.
He's actually shuffling the 2 cards.
Because I couldn't.
And then you
okay.
pick one
And
one
did you
power.
pick one?
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
All right.
Okay, and so then I am actually going to do some executive privilege here and assign,
2 random powers.
yes,
All right.
one to each of you.
Thank you.
Normally that would be just a random pull from all of the cards that have been discarded, so it's like all of the bad powers. Is that the one that you had originally discarded?
No.
Matt? Okay,
No.
good.
I don't
So-
even know what my other power is.
Wonderful. So why don't you each read for me what your fighters are before they enter the cage match?
I have Darth Vader.
I have Willy Wonka.
Oh my god. I think I already
So-
won.
No, well, go
Guys,
ahead and
what do you think?
read me your fighter plus their powers.
Okay. My powers are long metal claws pop out of his hands and can possess opponent for 30 seconds, then gets very tired.
All right. I'm Willy Wonka, and my powers are can stop time while holding his breath. Pretty cool.
I think he can do that, yeah.
And he's also is a tween.
Oh, man. The young
So-
Willy Wonka.
Yes, we have Willy Wonka, who is a tween and can stop time while he's holding his breath, but only as long as he can hold his breath. And you have Darth Vader with Wolverine-style claws, and who can possess his opponent for 30 seconds, but can get super neepy. So I'm gonna start with who would like to start?
I'll
with,
start.
okay, go ahead, and I'm gonna give you a little time here on the clock. Which, so go ahead and make an argument why your guy would beat the other one.
Matt, I hold my breath. I can stop time, right? This
yeah.
whole time I'm running around Darth Vader, and I can run pretty fast because I'm a tween. I'm a young Willy Wonka, right?
yeah.
And this whole time I'm running around you with all kinds of different candy treats. Charleston shoes, really long Charleston shoes, just choking you up top. I mean, I'm swapping everything, all kinds of slimy, gooey things all over your mask so you can't see.
See, I want to help you here.
This whole time you're defenseless, right? And then finally I bring out a cannon of chocolate and I just blast the hell out of you. Done.
Okay.
What do you got here?
All right. First of all, I'm Darth Vader, okay? Willy Wonka hasn't got a chance against the Dark Master of the Sith. I would use the Force. Well, I don't even have to because I have metal claws that pop out of my hands that I would slice and dice and go berserker on you, Wolverine style, and you would just be a pile of jujubes at the end. And by the way, I can possess you, so I would just take your soul and crush it like, I don't know, red vines. I'm stretching here. I would get very tired afterwards, kind of like you do after a sugar rush, but you're no match for Darth Vader, Willy Wonka.
All right. So the way the game works now is that the rest of us, which I'm going to include the rest of our team here, we are all going to decide, and we would generally do this by pointing, which doesn't really work too well on a podcast, to who we think won. But let's go ahead. We'll point, and then I'll read out. So, are you ready? Who do you think would win in a fight between Darth Vader with Wolverine claws, who can possess his opponent but then gets really tired right after, or Willy Wonka, who can stop time while he holds his breath and is a tween? All right, are you ready? I'll go 3, 2, 1, and then point. So we'll go 3, 2, 1. Ooh.
I believe I won this
yeah.
thing.
Yes.
So let's just paint the picture here. Two votes for Rye and 1 vote for me. Thank you, Phil. Thank you.
I told you Willy
Phil's just
Wonka
trying to
would
make it
win.
up to you after that very impassioned Pixar.
No, it's because I had Monsters, Inc. higher on my list than Rye did.
You think I would win, though, right, Elias?
Oh, yes.
Willy Wonka.
Well, you made a better argument, let's be honest. You did.
Well, and actually, this is always my favorite part of the game is listening to how my friends then perceived this argument, which is never at all how I meant it. So that's how you play Super Fight. So you would get 1 point, and then we would continue on until some arbitrary amount or until somebody pukes, like the end of any game. That's how we play.
Love it.
Thanks so much for playing with me.
Yeah, definitely.
I like it.
I like it too. So if you're interested in checking out these games, like I said, cat-n-mouse.com.
Speaking of games.
Yes. Before we get there, though,
Oh,
Matt,
I'm sorry.
you thought we were going right into CinemaWAR. You were all
jumping the gun.
excited. We got to open up that jaw box. And I know Elias, he's heated underneath there. He likes a good game every once in a while. Let's open up that jaw box.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
What's in the box?
How's it going, everybody? So sometimes I show up earlier to the jaw box before Matt and Rye do.
Well, we ship it
And-
FedEx.
Yes, exactly.
So it sometimes gets
Right.
to where we're going the day before.
So I showed up here at Cat and Mouse Games early, and I chit-chatted with Jess, and I asked her how she knew Matt and all that stuff. And when I found out that she was a part of the Elvis Fest, I realized, I was the photographer. Matt did hire me as the freelance photographer, and I just found the actual photo I took of her winning the costume
Holy
contest.
crap.
Yes.
Really?
That was, so we maybe could post that on our Instagram
free.
with her. Yes, approval. So it's just kind of crazy.
Is
that,
it
you
on?
know-
Is it on?
Yeah,
your
yeah. I
Wait
could
till
show
the
you.
end.
Okay.
Yeah.
But have you got her with Dick Biondi?
There might be one in the gallery. I will look.
I remember the
Yeah.
event because I spent most of it trying to get you to take pictures of me, so I imagine you have a lot of them.
Yes, there are a bunch. Yeah.
Also because there's like 17 people there. That's such a weird event.
Well, and
It's in
let's
January. I mean, come on. in Chicago.
it's run by
freezing.
Matt Kay.
formerly run by Matt Kay.
Now we know formally.
So you know what? I took time to speak about that because we only have one question because Phil, rightfully so, answered one, our Pixar expert or animated film expert. So the only other one was what was the runtime of Toy Story 1, and that was 81 minutes.
81
Damn.
minutes.
So
Yeah.
it
Talk
felt like a
about-
lifetime.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a real adventure they go on in 81 minutes. Huge accomplishment.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was everything?
That was everything.
Matt, I know we are on Patreon.
Yeah. We actually got a new patron today, Ryan. Brad Wysocki. Thank you for being a patron of CinemaJaw, gold level patron.
Oh, awesome. I
Yeah.
know Brad's written in on the show a couple of times. He loves when we use the term ass bag. So we should use...
I prefer Jag.
Yeah,
Jag bag.
Jag bag's good. Ass bag's fun.
I'm about to start doing some work for Lumpen Radio in Bridgeport, and they gave me a list. It's FCC, so you can't cuss. And I had to be like, can I say jagoff on the radio? Is jagoff okay? Jagoff, by the way, absolutely copacetic on the FCC. So
Well, they're a bunch of jags.
Yeah, a bunch of jags. It's just like it's a very Chicago.
Ass bags.
These jags over here.
Yeah. No, but thanks, Brad. Thanks for all the support from all the Patreons.
Brad's no jag.
Definitely. So thank you very much. Now we can put Elias back in the jaw box.
Thanks.
Get back in there. Man, it brings us to a segment called
CinemaWAR.
CinemaWAR works like this. Me and Matt, we fight on a topic. Jess gets to play judge and jury and tell the listeners who won this argument. That's important because we're fighting for jaw time to rant and rave on whatever we want. Another Transformers movie. They will not end. Michael Bay's directing it. Heck, Elias, tell the jawheads at home what today's CinemaWAR topic is.
Today's CinemaWAR topic is Michael Bay a good action film director? Matt K, you'll be fighting for yes, he is. Rye, you'll be fighting for no, he is not. Let this action-packed CinemaWAR begin.
Ryan, this is another clear-cut case of just because you don't like it. Is Michael Bay a good action director? Yes. And I can tell you 5.776 billion reasons why. That's how much money he's made, by the way.
Oh,
at the
who
box
cares?
office.
Yeah, it went over everybody's head here, Matt. Is Michael Bay a good action director? The answer is no. When you think of one of his movies, any one of it, be it Transformers or Armageddon, does a particular action sequence pop into your head? No. Think of James Cameron
Yes.
and his Terminator film, and already you have images in your mind of Arnold driving on a bike being chased by a semi.
Just because Cameron is good doesn't mean Bay can't be good also. Critics
Just using examples here.
Critics hate this guy, but audiences must not. My mom always told me that money doesn't grow on trees. So if you had $1 million invested in the next hot action franchise, who would you want at the helm? Michael freaking Bay is
No
where the
chance.
safe money is.
No.
Safe money.
No, you ass bag. Listen, what
You jag.
what innovativeness has Michael Bay brought to the world of cinema, I ask you? Nothing. He makes big, loud, mind-numbing movies. You never come out of a Michael Bay film and say, I need to see that again.
Big, loud. These are words you use. Sounds like an action movie to me. Stylistically, Bay has a voice. Again, you may not like it, but at least he has a tone and a style of his own. When you see a Michael Bay film, you have little doubt of what you are watching. A shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, fun movie. Nobody does it better.
All right, let me give you another example here. Let's look at Michael Bay's one war movie that he made, Pearl Harbor. What memorable action sequence or war scene pops into your head? Josh Hartnett with his shirt off. That's all. If I say Spielberg and Saving Private Ryan, instantly you think of the amazing Normandy beach sequence. For as big and as loud as Bay's films are, none of them stand out as being memorable when it comes to the craft of filmmaking.
Josh Hartnett with his shirt off may just be enough. And imagine this scenario. You are a producer who needs to make a film wherein aliens invade and the entire city of Chicago is destroyed. Who would you want to make that film? Oh, wait, Michael Bay already did make that film. He isn't a critical darling, but he is a master of his craft. And who are you to say that it isn't art?
Because I've seen it, and it's not art, Matt. With the budgets Michael Bay is working with, you can make an argument that he is actually legally blind. He has the mentality of throw enough on the screen and people will like something. A good action director takes an awesome action summer blockbuster and elevates it like Phil elevates them. Wachowski's with The Matrix, George Miller with Mad Max Fury Road, that's elevating action. Bay is not in that category. If Michael Bay stopped making movies, he would not be missed, except for maybe Josh Hartnett.
That was good.
We are button heads
That was
here
really good. That's a tough one.
on CinemaWAR.
I don't know who won.
As we do each and every week, we throw it to our guest, our jury, Jess. what did you think of this CinemaWAR?
I'm Judge, Judy, and Executioner.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Just like Super Fight.
Just ham it up a little bit for everyone.
Wow. Can I cross-examine here? Can I ask you guys some questions?
Well, not questions, but your opinions.
I can talk on it a little bit. I don't necessarily look like the kind of person you might expect to have a strong opinion on this subject. I love a big, dumb action movie. And part of it, I think, is reactionary against people who are snobs. And there's not that I'm pointing a finger at anyone here.
I was pointing a finger at Ryan just so everybody
who's a
knows.
snob. Certainly not. And I think it's a valid point that like there are action movie directors who take the framework of an action movie and give you so much more in addition to like there's giant robots and they've punched everything to death. On the other hand, if like we're not talking is he a good movie director?
Just action. Specific.
If we are saying is he good at making action movies, I would say yes. So I think I'm going to have to side with Matt on this.
Back into the win column for
Dude,
Matt.
of course he's a good action director.
I don't think
mean,
so.
The guy's made
I
billions
wouldn't
and
be arguing
billions.
it if I wasn't. It's just because the billions that I've said it many a times.
I mean, we didn't
the
ask
masses are asses.
Is he an artful action movie director? He's good at doing the thing that he does, and sometimes you just want to be inside for 2.5 hours where it's cold.
Let me ask this to Matt. Hold
Okay.
on. What memorable Michael Bay action sequence that you would say, wow, that was memorable for the big movies that guy's made?
The
there should be a
destruction of
few.
Navy Pier
That was
in the
crap.
Dark of the Moon.
That was no
No,
good.
that wasn't crap. In fact, if you go back in Cinemajaw history to the episode in which you reviewed it, you said that scene was pretty damn cool.
No. You want to talk how off rocker he is? I have never seen the movie, so I didn't review the film.
That's not true.
No, I was going to see the movie because I saw how cool it looked. I ended up on Netflix fast forwarding to the scene because I couldn't sit through any of Michael Bay's dribble.
Wow, now I'm going to have to go back and listen because I had this weird
see
memory. Okay, fine.
Just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's bad, which is something that I run into at the store all the time. People love their favorite games and think that the other games that other people like are bad just because they don't like them. So also, I mean, I really sometimes you just need to turn your brain off. And maybe it's because I'm like the biggest softie in the world. I've never cried at a Michael Bay movie.
Here's not to beat this dead horse up, but like when you're talking about like let's do a big explosion, like a film director like Elias will appreciate this. You say let's do it, let's like Michael Bay this. It's almost like a verb at this point. He has a particular style that's you can point to.
I don't think he's very good.
The man's a machine, for better or for worse.
All right, Matt, you won this one. It earns you 20 seconds of jaw time.
right.
You got something on your plate.
I do. Here's my thing. Remember to be a kid, okay? Play games. We're at Cat and Mouse. Enjoy puzzles. Play by yourself. Play with your kids. Don't get all grown up like Rye the movie guy. Feed your inner child. Feed it a fruit roll up.
Hey, who here?
Willy Wonka with with jellyfish for hands.
Who
It's
here?
stop time when he
who
holds his
here has
breath.
the latest Zelda game, huh?
I know. I kid. But seriously, everybody, you know what? You may not live in Chicago. Go out to your local game store. Check it out. Remember to play. Don't forget play.
Yeah, you do love to play.
I love to play.
He
Let's
does.
never stop.
Unbelievable, this guy. All right.
I think that was a great use of 20 seconds.
Unbelievable.
How about
We'll be
that?
talking about it for years to come, Matt.
Hey, you won
Literally.
Super
No,
Fight. You won
no,
Super Fight.
Literally,
Ryan.
yeah, we're going to be talking about that one for decades.
I know.
All right. It brings us to trivia. And how appropriate. We're in a game store here, Matt. So let's finish it out with a game. Movie trivia. It works like this, Jess. 8 questions. You're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first. There are steals, and if you get hung up on a question, our engineer, Elias Rodriguez, has clues to all those questions to get one trip to the ER. As I mentioned, the film Beguiled is coming out, starring Nicole Kidman and Kirsten Dunst. So we're playing Kidman and Dunst movie trivia. What would you like to do?
I think Matt could go first on this one.
Question number 1 to Matt K. Matt, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise made 3 movies together. What was the first one they made? It came out in 1990.
Days of Thunder.
Matt K is on the board. Jess, what have you gotten that one?
Oh, God, no. I'm hosed.
Oh, boy. It is 1-0. Matt K, question 2 over to Jess. In 2007, Nicole Kidman made a remake of Invasions of the Body Snatchers called Invasion. Which actor co-starred alongside her?
I missed that one.
Take a guess. Any actor you can think of.
Owen Wilson.
That is incorrect.
But
a
I would
good
watch
guess.
that movie.
Yes, that would. I think it would have elevated this movie. Invasion was not very good.
So who was the male lead? Is that
Yes.
the question?
Nicole Kidman and who in Invasion?
Was it Ewan McGregor?
Looking for Daniel Craig.
Huh.
Really?
Yeah, Daniel Craig.
James Bond himself.
Yeah. Still 1-0, Matt K. Question 3 jumps back over to Matt.
See, I told you I suck.
Our erstwhile James Bond, too. I love how much he hates being Bond. Anyway.
Matt, name the 2003 Kirsten Dunst film that also starred Julia Roberts and Julia Stiles. What the hell?
Was that?
Name the 2003
2003?
Kirsten Dunst film that starred Julia Roberts and Julia Stiles.
Too many Julias? I'm guessing. Was that Marie Antoinette?
Incorrect. We throw it over to Jess. You got a chance for a steal and to tie this game up.
And I'm afraid I'm going to let you down. No idea.
Mona Lisa Smiles. Anybody?
That's a movie that exists.
It is. Hey, the good news
Never
is,
heard of
Jess,
it.
it's still only 1-0, and question 4 is over to you. And you still have a trip to the ER if you need it. Jess, in 1995, Nicole Kidman starred in a movie with Val Kilmer, Jim Carrey, and Tommy Lee Jones. What was the name of it? 1995, Nicole Kidman,
1995.
Val Kilmer,
I feel
Jim
like I
Carrey, and Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, can I take that trip to the ER?
Whoa, trip to the ER. Question number 4. Elias Rodriguez, what was the name of that 1995 Nicole Kidman movie?
Your clue is it is a superhero movie.
Superhero movie. Val Kilmer, Jim Carrey, and Tommy Lee Jones.
Is it Batman? Which
Continue
one,
on with it.
I
Yes.
say give it to her. That's close enough.
Because the weird Val Kilmer Batman movie I've never seen, right? It's-
Batman Forever. She ties it up. Yes.
Yes, because he's the Joker in that. Jim Carrey is.
He's the Riddler.
He's the Riddler.
There you go.
Yep.
1-1.
Pretty much played as the Joker, though.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Question 5 over to Matt K. Matt, believe it or not, Kirsten Dunst had a small role in this 1997 political satire that starred Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman. Name it.
Political satire. Let me go to the ER.
Whoa, back-to-back trips to the ER. Elias Rodriguez, what was the name of that 1997 political satire that starred Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman?
Your clue is the tail is in charge.
Wag the dog.
2-1, Matt K.
Never seen it. Just the title.
I've actually seen it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
funny.
mean, De Niro and Hoffman.
I was about to say that, like, it's worth it just to watch those guys.
It's come up on a lot of lists.
Yep. Quality film. It is 2-1. Question 6 over to Jess. Just last year, Kirsten Dunst starred in a film with Joel Edgerton, Michael Shannon, and Adam Driver. Name it.
I don't know.
Matt, do you even have a guess on this one?
The Force Awakens. No? Adam Driver. He was.
We were looking
Kylo
for
Ren?
Midnight Special. Midnight Special.
Never heard of
Quality
it.
film. Oh. Give us
I
one a
love
spin.
Adam Driver.
Yeah, you guys will enjoy it. Still 2-1,
Oh,
Matt
yeah.
K. Question 7 now is over to Matt. Matt, Nicole Kidman.
You pointed at Jess.
I
but-
know, but it is over to you.
Oh, okay.
Nicole Kidman has starred in 2 films directed by Baz Luhrmann. The first was Moulin Rouge in 2001. Name the second one that came out in the year 2008.
You know this one, huh?
Maybe. I have a guess.
2008.
Baz Luhrmann directed, Nicole Kidman.
He's not
Yeah,
got
I'm
so many. Think about what's like way too expensive.
That doesn't help him.
No,
Couldn't
it
even
doesn't.
name
like,
all the Baz Luhrmann movies.
No,
He
I
doesn't
can't.
know.
I really can't. I know he makes like
I actually don't know it, so no pressure here.
blown out. Chicago was the first one. I would say.
Moulin Rouge was the first one, but
I was gonna. Okay, Chicago. It's not it, but
that is incorrect. You had a chance to tie it up here, Jess. Any type of guess.
I've probably seen it. I think I've seen all that guy's films, and I can't think of it. I'm terrible at trivia.
We're looking for Australia with Hugh Jackman.
Yep,
huh?
Yeah. Did you see this one?
I have.
I have also.
I should have known because she's
Was no
like,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
She's
2-1.
Australian too, by the way.
Yeah, I was
So
about to
is
say
Hugh Jackman.
they're very famously Australian.
Right, absolutely.
Little known
So is
fact.
Baz Luhrmann. I mean, the trifecta came and tried to make this wonderful Australian epic, Not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It is 2-1, and it's the last question of the game, and it is over to Jess. She can.
This is
tie
for
it.
all the marbles here.
She could tie it up,
Or this could be over.
or it could be over. Jess, Kirsten Dunst has appeared in one film directed by Cameron Crowe. It came out in 2005 and also starred Mr. Orlando Bloom. Name it.
I have no idea.
I'm really
Wow.
sad because I don't either. And
Sweep me here.
Cameron Crowe directed, Kirsten Dunst, and Mr. Orlando Bloom.
Why is he Mr. Orlando Bloom? I mean, is that a subtle hint?
No,
'Cause-
because funny.
It's
What's so funny? Elias?
No, yeah. It's just why.
It's a weird emphasis.
It genuinely has nothing to do with it.
Exactly, but it's funny. People right now are laughing because I'm
Are
saying Mr. Orlando Bloom.
okay. I'm laughing now. It's the third time's the charm, I guess.
And we should reference them that.
I'm
for
just
now
thinking about
on.
him naked
Yeah.
surf paddling. So, also dating Katy Perry.
Oh, is he?
Keep talking.
Not anymore.
Matt, you got to guess here. You won the game already because it's 2-1. but
Yeah, but I should know this. Cameron Crowe, Aloha. I don't know.
Incorrect. We're looking for Elizabethtown.
Never heard of it.
Tough contest here at 2-1.
Yeah, there were no, Big Little Lies. What was the HBO show?
I don't know, but if Michael Bay films were on this, I think we would have both done better.
Yeah, if it was Fast and Furious centric.
All right. If it came down to a jawbreaker, this question would have actually been over to Jess. Better actress, Nicole Kidman or Kirsten Dunst?
Oh, Nicole Kidman.
I'd give that to her.
No, I actually like Kirsten Dunst a lot.
I like them both also.
And
Yes.
she also talks a lot of trash on the internet, which I find delightful.
Oh, really?
She's worth a follow. She's always just like really shading everyone about Spider-Man all the time, and it's like real good.
That's I actually should check that out.
The real jawbreaker was this: age of Cameron Crowe.
Oh,
Closest to Matt.
Okay.
Is it closest without going over Price is Right rules? What are we?
Closest to, just closest to.
55.
Lock him in at 55, Elias. You got to guess, Justin.
56.
Give that one to Jess. 59 for Cameron Crowe.
Oh, wow.
He turns 60 July 13th.
That's my birthday.
Really?
Whoa.
We share it with Patrick Stewart and Harrison Ford. So
Huge.
It all
Cameron
comes
Crowe?
full circle.
Sure does.
full
Wow.
circle back to me, just like I like it.
Good stuff. It does, however, though, Matt, bring us to the end of another great job.
We're in a game store, man, so
I
let's just
know.
play games for the rest
We
of the
have
night.
beer. Let me set the scene here. We have beer. Phil has levitated all the way to the ceiling at this point, so we got to figure a way to get Phil down. It's like an escape room, right?
Yeah, well, there's games up on the ceiling, too, so he's playing some games.
It looks like a lot of fun. First and foremost, we got to thank our guest, Jess. Thanks for having us at Cat and Mouse. This has been a blast.
Thanks so much for coming. It's really nice to talk to you guys. Sorry I don't know anything about Kirsten Dunst.
I think it's okay.
It's fine.
It's totally fine.
Absolutely. We also got to thank all our sponsors.
Yes, thanks to all the sponsors and the Chicago Podcast Co-op who help us get those sponsors.
And we got to thank the best engineer in the biz, Elias Rodriguez.
Thank you, fellas, and Jess, and also Jawheads. I will be in Los Angeles next weekend for NALEAP, which is the National Association of Latino Independent Producers, a filmmaking summit. Jawheads, if you're around in La La Land, hit me up. Tweet at me. Let's get a drink at EliasRod, ELIAZROD.
This is great. I mean, every week I listen to this show just to find out where Elias is going to be.
Well, no, seriously. Well, we had that listener who was at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
And, I wish he would have tweeted at me because I would have hung out with him. So.
And people, I mean, you know what? Being in Cannes is a little bit less likely than being in LA. So
Right.
hit up Elias,
Yes.
guys. Do it.
Definitely.
Awesome.
I mean, he's going to be really lonely, apparently.
I have no friends.
Just
And the
just
jaw
a
box. Yeah, just FedEx.
The jaw
yeah.
box. Yeah, I love it. Earlier, we mentioned Brad Wysocki became a Patreon. That is a great way to support the show. Another great way to support the show is writing us a review on iTunes.
Yeah, please do. I mean, you know what? Every review helps us reach other listeners who might be interested in the show, and it's just a great thing to do. And frankly, we just like hearing about ourselves. So please do it.
Yeah. Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay,
And
keep on jawing about the movies.
You ass bag.
Jag.